The rain hammered against my bedroom window, a perfect soundtrack to my mood. Gloomy, grey, just like this October morning. It felt like the sun had forgotten how to shine. Maybe it was tired of trying, tired of fighting through the clouds, just like me. I pulled the covers over my head, wishing I could fast forward through the day. School. The thought hung over me like a dark cloud filled with whispers and laughter, laughter that wasn't meant for me, laughter that stung. My alarm clock blared, pulling me out of my misery. 6:30 a.m., time to face the music, or rather the silence that screamed louder than words, the silence that said, "You don't belong." I dragged myself out of bed, each movement heavy as if gravity itself was against me. The hallways of Northwood High were a blur of faces, faces that seemed to know where they were going, faces that belonged. I, on the other hand, felt like a ghost, invisible, until I wasn't. The first bell rang just as I reached my locker. My clumsy fingers fumbled with the lock, my heart pounding in my chest. Why was I always running late? Why was everything always a struggle? Well. Look who decided to grace us with her presence. The voice sliced through me like a shard of glass. It was Jessica, her posse flanking her like loyal soldiers. My stomach lurched. I hated this. I hated her. But mostly, I hated myself for letting it get to me. "What do you want, Jessica?" My voice was barely a whisper, but it was enough to send a ripple of laughter through the group. The late bell rang, a shrill sound that echoed through the hallway. I shrank under their gaze, feeling small and insignificant. Gym class, my least favorite hour of the day. It wasn't the physical exertion I dreaded, it was the locker room. The cramped space amplified every insecurity, every fear. I tried to blend in, to disappear into the background noise of chattering girls and slamming lockers, but it was no use. They always found me. "Nice shirt, loser." Jessica's voice dripped with sarcasm. My cheeks burned as I realized I had put on my brother's old t-shirt by mistake, the one with the faded superhero logo and a small hole near the collar. Laughter erupted around me. I wanted to disappear. The air grew thick with their mockery, suffocating me. I grabbed my gym clothes and rushed to the bathroom, tears stinging my eyes. I locked myself in a stall, the stench of bleach doing little to mask the wave of nausea that washed over me. I leaned against the cool tiles, my body trembling. Why me? What had I done to deserve this? The rest of the day passed in a blur. I sat at the back of the classroom, invisible, unheard. Words swam before my eyes, meaningless. I couldn't focus, couldn't think. All I could feel was the weight of their gaze, the echo of their laughter. Lunch was a lonely affair. I sat alone, picking at my food, my stomach churning with anxiety. The cafeteria buzzed with life, with laughter and conversation. But I felt a million miles away, trapped in my own private hell. I retreated into myself, building walls around my heart, brick by painful brick. I couldn't let them see how much they hurt me, couldn't give them the satisfaction. So I wore a mask of indifference, but behind the mask, I was crumbling. The walk home was always the worst. Every step felt heavy, laden with dread. Dread of facing my empty house, dread of facing my own thoughts. The streets were deserted, the silence broken only by the distant hum of traffic. The sky had turned a deep shade of grey, mirroring my mood. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick with humidity, clinging to me like a second skin. I hugged my books to my chest as if they could shield me from the world, from the pain, from myself. I just wanted to disappear, to fade away into the background noise of life, to become invisible. But even invisibility had its price. It meant being invisible to everyone, even the people who cared. The house greeted me with silence, an eerie, hollow silence that seemed to amplify my loneliness. I tossed my backpack on the floor, the thud echoing through the empty hallway. The house felt cold, lifeless, like a tomb. I wandered through the rooms, my footsteps muffled by the plush carpet. Each room seemed to mock me with its emptiness. The living room with its neatly arranged furniture, untouched. The dining room with its long, empty table, set for a family that no longer existed. I made my way to my room, my sanctuary. But even here I couldn't escape the feeling of being utterly alone. I flopped onto my bed, the springs groaning in protest. The soft glow of my phone screen illuminated the posters on my wall, mocking me with their cheerfulness. I was trapped in my own life. Dinner was a quiet affair. My mum sat across from me, her face etched with concern. I knew she could sense my mood, but she didn't pry. Not anymore. She had learned that sometimes silence was the best medicine. I pushed the food around my plate, my appetite gone. The chicken tasted like cardboard, the mashed potatoes like glue. I forced myself to eat a few bites, not wanting to worry her further. "How was school today, honey?" Her voice was soft, tentative. I knew she dreaded the answer as much as I dreaded the question. "Fine," I mumbled, avoiding her gaze. It was easier to lie, easier to pretend that everything was okay, easier than burdening her with my problems. "Honey, you know you can talk to me about anything, right?" Her voice was barely a whisper, filled with a mixture of love and helplessness. I knew she wanted to help, but I didn't know how to let her. I shrugged, my throat constricting with unshed tears. "I'm fine, Mum. Really?" The words felt like a betrayal of her love, her concern, but I couldn't bring myself to confide in her. Not about this. She reached across the table, her hand hovering over mine for a moment before she pulled back. The unspoken words hung heavy in the air between us. "I love you. I'm here for you. But I can't force you to talk." I hated myself for hurting her, for making her worry, but I didn't know how to stop it. I was trapped in a cycle of pain and I didn't know how to break free. After dinner, I retreated to my room, the familiar weight of my backpack a tangible reminder of my responsibilities. I spread my books out on my desk, the words swimming before my eyes. I couldn't concentrate, couldn't focus. My mind was a battlefield of thoughts, each one more painful than the last. I tried to lose myself in my history textbook, but the words seemed foreign, meaningless. The quadratic equations in my algebra book swam before my eyes, a jumbled mess of numbers and symbols. My phone buzzed, a welcome distraction. It was a text from my best friend Sarah. She was the only one who knew the truth, the only one who had seen behind the mask. "Hey, you okay? You seem down today." Her words, simple yet filled with concern, brought tears to my eyes. I wanted to tell her everything, to unload the burden of my pain, but I couldn't. I didn't want to burden her with my problems. "Yeah, I'm fine, just tired." I hit send, hating myself for the lie. But it was easier than explaining, easier than admitting the truth. I finally managed to finish my homework, my brain fried. I crawled into bed exhausted. But sleep wouldn't come, not for a long time. I lay there staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I knew tomorrow would be the same whispers, the same laughter, the same feeling of being invisible, of not belonging. But I couldn't escape it, couldn't outrun it. It was my life. As I drifted off to sleep, a single tear escaped, tracing a path down my cheek. A silent testament to the pain that had become my constant companion. A pain that I didn't know how to escape, a pain that I feared would never end.